Hello and welcome to Men Behind the Curtain, the podcast about everything and nothing all at once. I am Pitt.
I'm Eli. How's it going, y'all? We're recording this a day early, even though it's going to release at the same time. But happy Mother's Day to everybody who is celebrating that. Hats off to y'all. You definitely deserve it. Um, I actually, I actually didn't have a whole lot of news to cover this week. I know, as far as like anything with politics has to do, I mean, it's just the same old shit show.
Well, we
Tariffs
got
up and down.
we got a new pope, and just to show that the tariffs are working, the pope's American now.
Oh, not only that, the Pope is black.
No, he's not.
He has black in his family tree. So per the one drop rule that white people invented, he's black.
Well, what's this I hear about gingers being black now?
That I haven't heard that one.
It's all over TikTok. Gingers are coming out saying that uh, apparently gingers are black. It's some, I guess, some black comedian or somebody said something about gingers being black. So, um, yeah, I don't know, but I was just thinking, the Pope's a Midwesterner. Communion and wine is now going to be like cheese dogs and beer.
Actually, so it's funny you mention that. So just this morning, my wife has the most random feed on her Instagram. And she found a video. Conan O'Brien was talking about his ancestry tests. Now, this is Conan O'Brien. This might have been a work. I don't know if this was true or not, but he said he had his ancestry test done, and the guy doing it is like, I've never seen this before. You are 100% Irish because like you can go to Ireland and find people that are 86, 94% Irish. You are 100% Irish. That only comes from inbreeding.
Maybe that explains his height.
Maybe. I it's Conan O'Brien, so that could have been a work.
Yep.
That is his type of sense of humor.
Well, and
But
he's a ginger, so he's now part of your crew.
that's actually why I thought of it. Um, Actually, and one thing that I thought was funny as hell, and I'm gonna throw a picture of him up here in a little bit. I saw a video, not a video, an interview a while back that he did with the wrestler Sheamus, who is Irish, white as shit.
Yeah,
If
he
you've never
fucking
seen this
glows.
dude, if you've never seen this dude, he glows in the fucking dark. Like I'm gonna put a picture up here, but um, he was on Conan O'Brien's show one time, and he's like, I always used to say that I'm not muscular because I'm ginger, but you kind of fucked up that excuse for me.
Kind of like an Ed Sheeran on a growth spurt.
A little bit. Um, Speaking, actually, you reminded me. I know one time they said that Ed Sheeran looks like the grown-up version of Ron Weasley, and he kind of does.
Yeah. What was the actor's name? Rupert Grint. Yeah, what he become?
Yeah.
He became Ed Sheeran. That's what he became.
Although I would say that he looks like Ed Sheeran if he ever got a night of sleep, because um, we've talked about this before.
He looks a little rough.
Well, like when we talked about M. Night Shyamalan's movie, fuck, what is it? The end.
Well,
It's the end of the world movie.
the one
Knock
with
at the
Dave
Cabin.
Bautista. Yeah, Knock at the Cabin.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. My wife actually recognized Rupert Grint before I did, which is actually surprising because I'm usually the first one to pick that out. Like for instance, just quick tangent, when we were watching Game of Thrones, I don't remember the actress's name, but the one who plays Tonks at the end of the Harry Potter series, she
Oh,
was one of the wildlings or free folk or whatever terminology you prefer. I don't remember her name. Um, she was also in an episode of Black Mirror. I didn't clock that either. But getting back on track here, Rupert Grint in Knock at the Cabin looks like he has not slept since Harry Potter finished.
this horse stopped drinking since Harry Potter finished.
That could be too.
No, I
Um,
I fucking love that movie though. I mean, I know M Night Shyamalan's usually hit or miss, just because it's Shyamalamalan. But that fucking movie was phenomenal, and fucking Dave Batista, that role, man,
Yeah.
that was
Um,
fucking phenomenal.
so one thing I've noticed about M. Night Shyamalan, with his hit or miss, depends how far he strays from his good material. When I say his good material, of course, we're talking about, of course, The Sixth Sense. A lot of people enjoyed Signs. I really didn't. I thought it was just okay at best. Um, but that where he strayed and absolutely fucked up. There was the Avatar: The Last Airbender movie. I still have never watched it, but I have never ever heard a good comment about it. After Earth with Will Smith and Jaden Smith, which I don't. I think it was an okay story, but Shyamalan was not the guy for this movie. This was too big budget. This was too sci-fi for him. If you put that exact same movie in Spielberg's hands, and I'm just picking him out of a hat right now, Spielberg would have made that a really good fucking movie. Um, and I found out that if you've seen the movie, there's a scene where Jaden Smith's character, first of all, Jaden and Will were kind of bumping heads at this point in real life. Will got him to do this movie as a way to try to reconnect with him. Now, Jaden Smith's character, he has a little bit of survivor's guilt. He watched his sister get killed in the movie, and he sort of blames his dad for not being there, even though it's not his fault he wasn't there. But they're communicating, and he's like laying into him. I thought that was a really good acting job from Jaden, as far as showing the emotion and everything. It turns out it wasn't acting. He was. They were bumping heads at the time, and Jaden kind of really let loose on him for real. Um, But anyway, what we were talking about was Shyamalan. The Visit, I thought was really good. You have those kids who they're meeting their grandparents for the first time because their grandparents had cut their daughter off and then all of a sudden wanted to reconnect. And it ended up being a really creepy fucking movie, a really weird movie. If you haven't seen it, go watch it. I'm not going to spoil it for you. I thought this was a really good return to form for Shyamalan. Knock at the Cabin was probably his best movie since The Sixth Sense. It might be on par, if I'm being completely honest. Um, and yeah, Dave Batista, we've mentioned this before. If you're talking about wrestlers who have transitioned into acting, if you're talking about success, there's The Rock, and then there's everyone else. Nobody has touched his level of success. Love him or hate him, that's an indisputable fact. But talent, I think Batista's got it by a mile.
Yeah, it's funny because if you look at the roles he's been taking on, he did that one for next Netflix, that zombie movie. Um,
Army of the Dead.
yeah, Army of the Dead, and he's done a couple comedies, kind of like how The Rock did with like the Tooth Fairy thing and a few like that, where he's playing like the CIA agent or whatever, the spy or whatnot, and it's about his like
I
daughter or stepdaughter or something like that.
I absolutely got the Rock vibes when he was going through his kid movie phase, like Tooth Fairy and the Game Plan. I was absolutely getting that vibe from his I Spy, I think it was.
Yes, yes, I Spy. So, what I like about it is it's actually because you take him, you got Drax, which in all honesty I don't think was an easy character to pull off, considering the fact that there's a lot of people out there that kind of liken the character Drax to those who happen to be on the spectrum. Um, you know,
I've heard that.
and I've watched movies where you have you know actors trying to portray characters on the spectrum. And I don't know if that's something Dave Bautista was really going for, that but it was just something that came across, and now it's you can't talk about the part without bringing up that you know part of part of life. But the thing is you go through these great actors, like you got Hoffman in Rain Man, um, you know, And then you got I can't remember the guy's name, but that the guy who plays the good doctor on TV, where he's playing an autistic surgeon.
Yeah, he was
And
also in fucking the Hitchcock thing, that show. Um, the dude from Psycho. Like they
yeah,
adapted his story
yeah,
and then told his like childhood. I something hotel.
Norman
It's slipping.
Norman Bates, but
Bates
yeah,
Hotel. Bates
yeah.
Hotel. Yeah, there we go.
And then you got another. It's a comedy on Netflix that was called Atypical, and where the lead actor actually portrays an autistic individual. But it's one of those things that it's like, I think, you look at Drax and you look at Knock at the Cabin and I Spy and Army of the Dead and stuff, but you're looking at a really specific range of
And Dune.
and Dune, yeah. So you're looking at a very specific range coming from Dave Batista, to the point of where it's not just the continuing of, the comical type um, character. And I don't want to throw John Cena under the bus because I really do love him in Peacemaker and pretty much everything he's done comedy wise. Even Ricky Stenicki and things of that nature, like, or even the bit part he did in Trainwreck. He's like, I will turn around and I will fuck you. But
I
I mean,
love those clips.
so for me, I think the parts that he's playing, really show Batista's range. We know John Cena's got the comedy down. You know, we do know that Dwayne Johnson has playing himself down in every role. But yes, for me, Dave Batista has really shown range, particularly coming out of the WWE, not really being known for much more than that, and being able to take on different roles of different genres. Honestly, I say let's see him in a romantic comedy since he hasn't tried to pull one of those off yet. I think that'd be interesting.
I'm actually more surprised that whenever we see actors try to make that transition, that we don't see more success out of it because um, when you think about it, what they do, they're playing a character in a live audience, like on a constant basis. And the old school ones, and when I say old school, we're talking Hogan, we're talking Piper, we're talking Macho Man, they didn't break character even in public. They protected their character at all times to the point Roddy Piper got fucking stabbed over a wrestling angle,
Yep.
which is wild. Um, so it's kind of surprising to me that they don't do a very good job of transitioning when you have like Blade Trinity, which Blade Trinity was an awful movie all around. I don't know if there might be a couple saving graces about actually one
Ryan
saving
Re-
grace.
Ryan Reynolds audition tape for Deadpool.
That is exactly what I was going to say. That is 100% how he got Fox's attention, and they got him for Deadpool. That's one silver lining about it. But Triple H in Blade Trinity was atrocious. But honestly, I don't know if there was anything like the all around dialogue. A lot of it was just fucking horrible. So
Well,
he wasn't good in it, but it wasn't a good movie.
well, the thing is I feel differently about Paul Levasic's stint on Blade Trinity. Paul Levasic happened to be Triple H.
Yeah.
I actually enjoyed his performance because, and I think it may have had to do with the way the movie was set up, how it was written and stuff like that. I think the stiffness and more of the we're cutting a promo for WWE type delivery, um,
Yeah.
was perfect for that character. Like one of my favorite scenes is, they got Ryan Reynolds and Hannibal Caine sitting in the chair, and he says something. He's like, "Says, what have you seen my dick? I wasn't talking to you. I was talking to her." But I think it was I think it was just the fact that he was able to give those deliveries and the lines written for that character, which I believe were probably written more from a WWE promo standpoint.
That could be. It's actually kind of similar to the same comment that I made about Jesse Eisenberg as Lex Luthor,
Okay, he
is that,
sucks.
well, but the problem with that Lex Luthor was less about the actor and more about what they wrote. because what they wrote was it just didn't gel very much. So I think that when I say that I didn't like Triple H or Paul Levesque in Blade Trinity, when I say that I don't like it, I'm probably misplacing it. And it's like he did what they told him to do, essentially. I just think that it was just a bad movie in general.
And yeah, I mean, of the three, Blade Trinity doesn't hold up compared to the other.
And
So
honestly, I personally was not a fan of Blade 2, and most of what I wasn't a fan of was the CGI. The CGI that they were doing was they overreached for the time period. Specifically, for those of y'all who are listening or watching, if you go back and rewatch it, look at the scene where Blade is fighting Nissa and the other dude in the spotlights when they have like the head to toe gear. It gets really wonky. They get like really
yeah,
lanky and weirdly bendy and fluid. I know that it's CGI and it's fucking weird. And they did it again in his scene toward the end with I don't remember the guy's name, the main villain. Um, although one thing that was funny, again, I'm a wrestling fan, so I kind of had to I noticed this and laugh. Wesley Snipes Blade dead ass fucking vertical suplex dude in the
yeah.
fucking movie, which was weird. But then you had God, what Ron Perlman? Ron Perlman was really good as an antagonist.
I, Ron Perlman is one of those actors that, regardless of what he's in, whether it is as an antagonist, an anti-hero, and I'm going to go as far as saying a protagonist because he was more the protagonist in the short-lived television series Beauty and the Beast through the 90s with
Hellboy.
Michael Hamilton. Well, Hellboy as well. He was an anti-hero and stuff like that.
I didn't
But
realize that was him in Beauty and the Beast, though. By the way, my mom actually recorded those when I was a kid. I didn't realize that was him.
it's probably taped over all your good stuff. But yeah, so Ron Perlman's one of those actors that, really, I think is, I mean, he's very recognizable, particularly by his appearance and his voice. But I think he is overlooked for a great many things just because of his voice and his appearance. And it's like the dude is talented. I mean, he pulls off some of the greatest stuff, like even him in like, Alien and stuff like that.
Yeah,
It's just he gets the characters and then he just embodies that role with whatever he's given. I mean, didn't he voice something on Gargoyles too? Because I know he does voice acting. Because I know he did Sebulba in um, Book of Life.
I feel like he did do Gargoyles. Let me just go ahead and Google his filmography. But
I also know
what
David. What's his name? Really deep voice as well.
Keith David?
Yes, Keith David.
Yeah, he
Yeah,
was
so Keith.
Goliath.
Yeah.
Um, but no, what I was going to say with us talking about Ron Perlman, one thing that I think is a testament to just how good he actually is, Sons of Anarchy.
Mm,
He was he was an antagonist, although he started off more just gray area. You don't know if he's a good guy or a bad guy, and then you realize that he is an antagonist, which he was a bad guy among bad guys because honestly there were no protagonists in the show, not really. But
yeah.
like he becomes an antagonist in the show, but you still love his character. He's fucking good. I loved every scene that he was in. Um, but yeah, so I'm looking at Ron Perlman. So apparently he did do some voice work with Transformers, which I probably would have known that had I watched any of them. Um, the thing is, I'm a millennial and I realize how weird this is. I didn't watch Transformers as a kid. I didn't dislike it. I just never sat down and watched it. So when the Michael Bay movies came out, I wasn't particularly excited. I never sat down to watch it. Um, I've heard mixed reviews. Some people loved it, some people didn't. A lot of people will say that he made the same movie like six times with just a slightly longer runtime with each movie. Um, what I will say about Transformers, and I've said this before, nobody can ever say that Michael Bay makes a bad looking movie. His, if we're going off of the aesthetics, Michael Bay makes phenomenal movies as far as the appearance goes, but that doesn't always make them good movies.
And it's true.
Oh.
And yes, to backtrack, it is Paul Levesque. Sorry, Paul. Please do not come kick my ass. Well, honestly, I'd probably be happy if you did too, because receive a pedigree from Triple H would be like, hell yeah.
Actually, another thing though, where he really did, he had good comedic timing, but he also kind of wasn't playing a character. Did you ever see the episode of Bernie Mac that he did?
No, I haven't.
So Bernie Mac's nephew Jordan, he was just scrolling through Bernie's phone one time randomly, and he just comes across one. Who's Paul? Oh, you know him. That's Triple H. So the kid just starts calling Triple H and fucking harassing him. And Triple H is trying to figure out the whole time who is this dude. Um, oh shit, I forgot about that. Ron Perlman voices Deathstroke on Teen Titans Go. I forgot about that.
Oh
But
yeah.
yeah, but the whole time he's trying to figure out who it is, and then one time, Jordan. Now, mind you, this tells you how old the show is. Jordan was calling on a landline, and for some reason, Triple H didn't. He didn't have caller ID, which. But anyway, so Bernie Mac picks up the phone while they're on the phone, and Jordan, hang up. And they're like, and he leans forward, Bernie, Paul, and then in the next scene, they're grilling together, and Triple H just turns around and looks at Jordan, clacks his tongs, time to play the game, and then the episode just cuts right there. But it's good comedic timing. Um, but yeah, some of the other things that they when I say well, wrestlers have done, like the movie See No Evil with Kane, it wasn't actually a bad horror movie. It was a typical slasher, and honestly, like it's kind of what it was already his character anyway. Honestly,
Yeah.
um, Stone Cold has had a few decent movies. I know that when he was the villain in the first Expendables movie, he told Stallone to really fight him for a little bit. Stallone broke his neck, or actually, it might have been the other way around.
I don't recall. I remember I do remember him saying that he wanted to fight a little bit, but I don't recall whose neck got broken. But we're talking about like other things like, I think John Cena's first film debut was The Marine, which
Yes,
which actually wasn't a bad movie. From my
I
understanding, he actually went through some of the boot camp down at Lejeune.
that wouldn't surprise me. Honestly, their movies, what I have watched of their movies when they were trying to do that as a movie studio, they weren't terrible. They were undermarketed, and honestly, because of the WWE logo in it, they were just kind of undervalued. Because there was one that Stone Cold did, The Condemned. They
Yeah.
basically did a reality show. They took like what 12 people on death row, and hey, last man standing wins, and you get a pardon. Which, looking back as a adult looking down the barrel at 40 right now, ethically speaking, morally speaking, that is a horrible concept. You take 12 murderers, put them on an island to murder each other, and the last man standing goes free. This is a horrible idea, but for the sake of a movie, it was entertaining. And honestly, it was not a bad movie. Um, there was one that they did, The Call with Halle Berry. This was probably one of their more successful movies, and I think it's because their involvement, the WWE producing, was very downplayed. It was just more focused on Halle Berry. She was a 911 caller. In the beginning of the movie, she happened to be on a call for, I think it was a murder case or something like that. She was on the phone with the person when they were killed, which so after that, her character stepped away from it. Understandably, that's traumatizing. She is now a trainer for the 911 call center. And the guy from the call in the opening scene, he somebody gets a call and it's him again. and that kind of gets her emotionally invested, and she gets pulled back in. Um, and I believe I think he kidnaps her throughout the movie or some shit like that.
Huh.
It's not a bad movie, honestly. Um, the only way that you would know that WWE has any involvement with it is, again, you do see the logo in the credits, and one of their less popular wrestlers, who I don't even know if he's still employed or not. If he is, he's backstage. He had like a cameo in the movie. He plays a uniform cop, and he literally has one scene. But what was I looking for with Ron Perlman? What did you say you think he did a voice in? Because I don't.
Gargoyles.
Gargoyles. That's what it was. Let me just do a.
I think he may not have, but
Uh,
he should have if he didn't.
he might not have, because I just did a Control F search,
Well,
and
he should have.
honestly, he should have, because he has a really, really good voice for it. And Gargoyles was a
Oh, it was going
phenomenal
so
show.
fucking good with the audio and video.
Ah, shit, did it cut? Yeah, apparently we had technical issues. I don't know what happened there. I could see and hear him fine, but he couldn't see and hear me. I don't know what happened. But yeah, Gargoyles I thought was a fantastic show. I think Disney Plus is supposed to be reviving it. I don't know if it's live action or animated, but I do think it's supposed to make a comeback.
I think it'd be interesting either way.
I do. I agree. Honestly, I think I would rather that it was animated, because if they try to do live action, that's a lot of prosthetics or CGI, which don't always translate well. I think if they're going to do it, I would rather them just do what they did with X-Men.
That would be interesting. I'd definitely watch it. All right, so you actually this time have the catastrophe.
Yeah, so I do have a couple other one has to go, but we can do that in a little bit. This was something that I thought of just like out of the blue. Um, so so tell me a fan theory, if you have one that you love and one that you hated. And I can give you a little bit of time to think about it, because I have a couple I can name. Um, I tried not to do this, but they're actually both Marvel related. But um, so the fan theory that I hate is that Loki was actually mind controlled during the events of the first Avengers movie. And I think that the Loki show puts a gargantuan fucking hole in that theory. I don't like it because, honestly, the way that he acts in the first movie is congruent, I think is the right word, to who he was in the first and second Thor. I think who he was in the Avengers lines up with who he was in the other movies. Um, I think the Loki show punches a hole in it, because when the TVA picks him up, which, mind you, is immediately after the Avengers, he's still the same fucking guy. So if he had been mind controlled, he would have had some kind of clarity in that. Fans did that because they wanted to make him more palatable, I think, because he did go on a fucking murdering spree. But I hate that fan theory. Um, one, this is my personal fan theory, but I'm gonna use it. The one that I enjoy has to do with Cap lifting Mjolnir in Age of Ultron, which the Russo brothers, the guys who did Civil War, Infinity War, and Endgame, they said he could lift it and he chose not to, because he didn't want to hurt Thor's feelings or some shit like that. But the Russo brothers didn't make that scene, so I don't consider what they said to be canon. What I think happened is that Mjolnir moved because he was worthy, but he was trying to lift it in a pissing match. And Thor Love and Thunder has established that Mjolnir is sentient. If you're sentient, you're not going to play along for a pissing match.
Yeah. Okay.
But when he also, a couple of things is that Ultron hit the nail on the head when he was talking about Cap at this point in the MCU. Cap has gone from fight to fight to fight to fight. He doesn't understand peacetime. He doesn't know how to exist in peacetime. And Thor was unworthy in the first movie for being a warmongering shit. So those two things line up to me. Steve, during Endgame, they had lost. It was 5 years from now. He had been trying to counsel people. At the end of the movie, he goes off with Peggy and he wanted to just have a life. He understands war, he understands peacetime. So, Cap in Endgame is not the same dude who tried to lift the hammer in Age of Ultron. So, I don't think that he faked it in Age of Ultron. I think that he just wasn't there yet.
I can see that. All right, so I've got one that I hate, one that I love, and I've got one honorable mention.
All right.
And you can take it either way you want, hate it or love it. So the one I absolutely hate is the one out of Harry Potter, written by a cunt. Um,
Keeping that counter at 0.
is that Ron Weasley is a time traveling Dumbledore. I feel that the events of Fantastic Beasts nullify that Ron Weasley is a time traveling Dumbledore, considering the fact that you know we see the events from Dumbledore and stuff like that, within his relationship with Grindelwald and whatnot, and everything that he's gone through, with the death of his sister, and basically him and his brother not being on great terms. But then you see the comparison between how Ron is with his family, and I'm sorry, there's no denying their blackness. Um, I mean, come on, the red hair, man. But it's one of those things that it's like I completely disagree with the fan theory that Ron is a time traveling Dumbledore. The one
Wait. Oh, hang on. Are we talking about a Dumbledore, or are we talking about if he was a time traveling Albus Dumbledore?
Albus Dumbledore.
Fuck that. That's so stupid. That is so stupid.
Yeah. The one I do love comes out of Marvel, which is that Star Lord, also known as Peter Quill, is the great grandchild of one Steve Rogers, aka Captain America. And if you happen to see the She-Hulk series on Disney Plus, that Bruce does state that Cap is not a virgin. He lost his virginity to a girl that he met on the USO tour who happened to be played by the same woman who played Peter Quill's mother in the second movie, Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 2.
Oh shit. I but 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 Ego was his father though. So how do they explain that in the theory?
You don't need, okay, well, you don't need Ego for this theory. And here's why. Cap lost his virginity to that woman on the USO tour.
Right?
She got pregnant. She gave birth to Peter Quill's mother.
Oh, you said grandchild. I'm sorry. You did say
Yeah,
that.
yeah.
Okay, no, that can still work. Cause actually, you know what? I'm keeping that as headcanon because in Guardians of the Galaxy 2, which by the way, I really wish FX has been on a weird thing where they show like a lot of Marvel movies, but they focus on very specific ones. And like Guardians 1 and 2, they could show those and they just don't. But anyway, um so Ego has been going and collecting his kids to try to see which one of them has quote unquote it for him to expand. So, and for some reason, even though all of them have been his children, for some reason, none of them have that extra whatever.
Right.
So, with Steve having the super soldier serum in his DNA now, I could see that coupling with Ego, and that is why Quill has whatever it is. So I'm kind of okay with that theory. I like that.
Yeah. And so the honorable mention, and I don't know how this works out. I've only heard it in passing, never heard an explanation. But the honorable mention is that Kevin McAllister from Home Alone is Jigsaw from the Saw films.
I think I've read that before, and honestly, I kind of love that because they're both pretty diabolical. I know I saw one time they said this was just an internet video, it was a joke, but like who would win between Kevin or Predator? And they're like, how much prep time does Kevin get? 24 hours? Oh, Predator's fucked.
Yeah, Predator's just gonna go back after aliens after that.
Yeah, which it was funny because I know I saw AVP Requiem on TV the other day. I still have not watched that movie start to finish. You know, a movie is terrible when you look at the synopsis on Wikipedia, the plot, and the plot is still terrible. Because if you take a movie and condense it into a 3, 4 paragraph summary, it's easy to make any movie sound good in that small amount of space. But when it's still terrible on that format, that's a horrible fucking movie.
So that'd be one of the things that has to go.
Yeah. Speaking of which, I guess we'll go ahead and transition to that. I think we'll do three out of here. So this first one, um, this will be pretty much millennials' entire childhood. Um, so one has to go. So you have Homeward Bound, The Sandlot, Jumanji, the original Jumanji with Robin Williams, or Matilda. And my answer is honestly going to be Matilda. Um, Partly because that's actually one that I haven't watched all the way through, but I just connect to the other ones better.
I'm keeping the Sandlot. Fucking love that movie. It has one of the greatest catchphrases, and I still use it to this day. You're killing me, Smalls. Um,
They sold a whole fucking brand of shoes from that fucking movie. Those pumps.
if I'm getting rid of any of them, I'm getting rid of Homeward Bound.
Okay. Um, I enjoyed it. That movie actually made me want a golden retriever until I learned how many health problems golden retrievers have.
I mean, it's a great movie, but for me, because I have daughters and stuff like that, and Matilda was, I just absolutely thought Matilda was a great movie. I mean, the book is better, of course, but I felt it was a great movie. If you're
Oh,
hearing a
I
cat,
thought
it's coming from outside.
I thought my fan was making a weird noise, but I don't think it's my fan. I think it's something outside.
No, but there's a
Well,
cat
actually,
outside the garage.
oh no, there's a plane. That's what it is.
Oh,
Okay. That's what it is. But anyway,
well, you're
um,
close enough to the base. I'm surprised you haven't got more.
honestly, I do hear them a lot. I've mentioned to people before that I live close enough to the base that if we ever go to war and they attack the base, I'm gonna be dead before I have time to piss myself. So anyway, so let's go to the next one. You know, this will be a little bit more fun. So drinks. So which drink can go there? And I forgot about two of these. So there was Sprite Remix, which I'm surprised that they don't still make that because that was super popular for a short while. So the Sprite Remix, Fruitopia, Squeeze It, which I can share my screen if you need to see what that is,
No, I know
because
what it is.
and Pepsi Blue.
Um, one of them has to go. Can I get rid of all four of them?
Yeah, this is supposed to just be the one.
Oh God. Well, I've never had Fruitopia.
Really?
Uh, yeah, I've had to squeeze it before, which is like, meh. I don't think I've ever had Pepsi. I've had Crystal Pepsi, but never had Pepsi Blue. And what was the first one?
Sprite Remix. And actually, I'll go ahead and show it just for anybody who's on YouTube, who's watching us on YouTube.
Don't think I've had Sprite Remix either.
Sprite Remix basically tastes like the original Sprite Remix. It basically tastes like if you dissolved Skittles in the Sprite.
Oh, yeah, yeah. My teeth are rotting, and I just went into a diabetic coma. Um,
Um,
oh
I
God.
I like that's actually if I could only keep one, it would actually be that one. Um, but yeah, so anybody watching on YouTube, if you're listening, you just miss out on this. So hopefully you remember what Squeeze It looks like.
I'm
But for
getting
those of you
ready.
on YouTube, that's this.
I'm getting ready to squeeze it because that's the only one I've ever had.
Um, I remember that one, Squeeze It, just being like a sugary fucking just. It was way too much. Pepsi Blue is the one that I remember the least. So I'm gonna say that one because I don't remember being impressed by it. Um, and I'm already sharing, so I thought this would be a hard one.
Okay.
Which, no pun intended, that's what she said. Um, which 90s Disney cartoon can go? So you have Darkwing Duck, we have Gargoyles, which I'm actually kind of glad you mentioned that a little bit ago. We have Darkwing Duck, Gargoyles, Chip and Dale Rescue Rangers, or Goof Troop.
Well, I'm definitely keeping Darkwing Duck. Definitely keeping Darkwing Duck. Love Darkwing Duck. Um, for me, it's gonna be between Chip and Dale's and Goof Troop. I don't think I've ever really seen Goof Troop, but I remember Chip and Dale, the Rescue Rangers, and I believe one of them, I can't remember which one, but wore a Hawaiian shirt
Yep,
To look like Tom Selleck from Magnum PI, and the other one wore like the
yep.
fedora to look like Indiana Jones. So I'm getting rid of Goof Troop just because I've never watched it.
I honestly don't recall watching Goof Troop either, so I'm actually getting rid of it for the same reason. He has Max right here in the picture, which tells me it's probably coming off of a Goofy movie, which Goofy movie was great, but I don't remember the show at all. And now the first one that you saved was Darkwing Duck. First one I save easily is going to be Gargoyles because I appreciate Gargoyles for being a show that was not afraid to like just have a mature storyline. That's probably the first show that I ever watched as a kid that it's probably the first kid show that I watched that had a linear storyline, meaning one episode led to the next. It was not a total Simpsons reset at the end of every episode. And it had mature shit in it. Like I remember as a kid, there was the what was her name? The woman gargoyle who was a villain.
Oh,
Um,
don't remember her name.
it was like Demona. I think it was her name, Demona. It was something, it was demon something. I think it was Demona. She had a spell that turned humans into stone during the night, which for those of y'all who don't remember the show, gargoyles turn into stone during the daytime. So when you see those old Gothic buildings with a gargoyle on the roof. Supposedly that was these guys, and they turned to life at night. Well, Demona turned humans to stone, and she's just going through just destroying statues. And I remember watching this like I'm under 10 years old. I don't remember how old I was, but I'm watching this like she's straight up murdering people. I'm understanding that as a kid. And I really appreciate that Gargoyles was had the courage to actually go there for children. So I really love the show for that reason. And as we talked about earlier, Keith David as Goliath, like I I will be sad the day that Keith David retires completely from acting because
Yes.
he's so fucking good. Um, and I love him even as the president in Rick and Morty.
Speaking of Rick and Morty, there's a guy at the cigar lounge the other night actually had a shirt on, and I swear he bought it off like the Rick and Morty shop. It was like, dude, it's fucking
Oh,
great.
the, I kind of want to get another one, but it's the same problem that I have with wearing the one at work. The one I have at work, or sorry, the one that I have, and if y'all want to see it, you'd have to go back a few episodes. Is a blue Rick and Morty shirt. I actually wore it, I think, in one of our first episodes because I was
Yeah.
pointing out this was the one shirt I can't wear to work because Rick is actively fucking hammered and still drinking in the drawing. Like, I can't wear this to work.
No, it's like this is what I'd rather be doing than being here.
That's fair. Um, Actually, this was another one I meant to do. I was gonna stop at that third one, but this is a really good one.
All right.
So, Pixar movies, one has to go. There's Toy Story, Toy Story 2, Finding Nemo, and The Incredibles.
Oh
This is
fuck.
a really difficult one.
This is where my inner Roy Kent comes out. Fuck. I shit. I know if I get rid of Finding Nemo, the wife is going to be upset because one of her favorite characters, Dory, is um in that movie.
Just keep
So
swimming, just keep
yeah,
swimming.
can't touch that. Incredible. I love Incredibles. I love both Toy Story and Toy Story 2. But I'm gonna have to say, and this is just because I'm gonna say Toy Story 2 because you wouldn't have Toy Story 2 without Toy Story.
I am going to pick the same one for the exact same reason because I loved all of these. I think Finding Nemo was one of the first quote unquote new age kids movies that I had watched, and when I say that, um, Disney Pixar movies. Well, let me back up a little bit. Kids movies when I was a kid are terrible fucking movies. Like when you watch them as an adult, they suck.
Yeah.
But like there are movies that my dad took me to see that I feel like I owe him an apology for taking me to see it. But like Disney Pixar movies are good for like all hang on. I got something on my computer said camera off. Are you still seeing me okay?
Yeah, I still see you.
Okay, maybe it was Discord or something, which I didn't have my camera on there anyway. I don't know, whatever. But but yeah, like Disney Pixar movies nowadays are fucking good no matter how old you are. Like my son, he's 14. He had to be 9 when we saw Zootopia. He picked up immediately. Zootopia is talking about racism,
Yep.
like in a very palatable way. Like he picked up on that. Um, Honestly, even the first Frozen it's an earworm. It's a bad fucking earworm,
Let
but
it go.
it's not a bad movie, honestly though. Moana. I still haven't seen the second one. Moana was good. The one that Jamie Foxx did, Soul, I believe it was, is a great fucking movie. But yeah, The Incredibles. Look, when The Incredibles 2 came out, I'm like, we're going to see this. Well, to my kids, I'm like, I don't give a shit if you wanted to see this or not. We're going to see this.
So
Uh,
we mentioned Finding Nemo. So one more fan theory about this. So you know how that entire clutch of clownfish eggs was basically destroyed and all eaten by barracudas, right?
right.
So it turns out that female clownfish have been known to eat the eggs in the clutch. So the fan theory is that in order for Nemo, and there's another fan theory based off this, in order for Nemo not to, be traumatized or whatnot, and to paint his mother in a better light, is that Marlin made up the story that the Barracudas came and destroyed the nest, the entire clutch. But it was actually Nemo's mother that went on a rampage and ate, destroyed the clutch, and only Nemo survived. The other theory is that the entire his Marlin's wife actually did destroy the entire clutch, and Nemo was a figment of his imagination, and it was made up for him to be able to cope.
That's dark. um, One thing that I do love about Finding Nemo, just from a scientific point of view, and I guess marine biology, uh, it was several times that I watched this movie before I picked up on the fact that Nemo's egg, where the crack is where his little fin is. So his small fin is probably a result of that. I guess we would think of it as like a prenatal injury type of thing. So
Yeah.
that was a nice touch. But from a scientific perspective, for those of y'all who don't know this, clownfish can actually legit 100% shift their sex. So they can actually transition from male to female or back and forth at will. And so where this becomes a little bit more relevant to the movie, Marlon's wife wanted to name him Nemo. Now, you might look at that and like, he has one egg left. What are the odds that it comes out as a male? Well, because it's clownfish, it doesn't actually matter. He treats it as a male, he names it Nemo, and it can just be a male. So that was actually it was an interesting bit of writing from them, which also I would like to point out, because I've heard people try to say whenever people try to, not to go down this rabbit hole too far, but whenever people try to talk about like, trans people and like it's not natural, da 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 da, clownfish exist, and I'm sorry, that's just their biology. That's how they're made. So, like, as much as y'all want to pretend that it's unnatural or unrealistic, it's really not.
Yeah.
I
Take
just
that,
want to throw
Mecca.
that out there. um, but yeah, and actually, oh, what the fuck? Because Dipshit had another interview, and he kind of tried to steamroller, but he also kind of kicked his own dick in again. But I don't remember what they were talking about.
I don't know.
It was
He kicks his dick in on a regular basis. So
He really does. Um, damn, I wish I could remember it, but I'll just have to move on. I know that he had a little bit of a back and forth. It was she might have been an Indian descent. I'm not sure. And for y'all politically correct, when I say Indian, I mean the country India. Okay. um, but she was interviewing him. It got a little bit feisty, but she just let it go. Um, Still not as bad as with Terry Moran, where Terry Moran literally tried to move on and fucking Fanta fascist, he couldn't because like his ego just wouldn't let it go and be wrong. But
yeah. But hey, yeah, that's just the way it is now, and it's I turned them off.
I will be happy when we can go back to boring politics. I really hope that that day comes sooner than later.
Yeah, a lot soon.
But I think we can go ahead and wrap it up and end on that note. So thank y'all for watching and or listening. As we always like to say, feel free to check us out on Facebook or well, yeah, Facebook. You can check out our other platforms. Feel free to send us any suggestions. Men Behind Curtain. I have it in the description as always. Um, but I hope to see y'all back. I do also know that he's working on episode 6 of Valmont, so that should be coming out soon. And I am still probably going to do a live stream on TikTok for 3, 4, 5, and 6. I'm actually going to start recording. I'm going to re-record my lines for episode 8 and 12 here in a minute because I was just listening to 12. I think I was speaking too fast, like uncharacteristically fast, and I'm still trying to nail that emotion on episode 8, which is a really hard thing to do. Y'all will just have to listen to see what I'm talking about.
All right. Well, thank you for tuning in, and you can join us again next week.
Y'all have a good one, and again, happy Mother's Day.
Take care.